Alright, what's going on guys? It's Joey's Gaming and welcome back to another build video. This one is covering AMARA. This build is really basically a copy-paste of Moxie's Ricochet Witch. It's the same name, it's got the same skill tree, it's got pretty much the same setup. I just want to, put it out there in case some of my viewers haven't seen it. Now this build is a really good build for MAM4. It's a really good build for endgame content. Because this build can both boss and mob extremely well in general. To put it simply, Moxie put out this build when MAM4, not when MAM4 came out, but when people were still struggling with MAM4, and it got really popular because it was able to do the takedown without any problems, and it can still do the takedown with level 50 gear at level 53 gear, MAM4, with takedown scale to 4 players absolutely perfectly. This is one of my favorite builds. To put it simply, it's just damage. It's a lot of damage, and we love damage. So yeah, basically, I'll go over the skill tree, I'll go over the gear, and yeah, just tell you about the mechanics of this build, because this build is not like how it works is not simple. Like, you can, to use it, it's simple, but to understand it, it's another thing. So we're using the recursion. Now this gun is insane. If you didn't know, in Borderlands 3, when you add elements to guns that have unlisted projectiles, the unlisted projectiles multiply. So for example, if you're using a Sentinel Cryo King's or Queen's Call, the little ricochets that happen on the calls will multiply because of the Sentinel Cryo, so it's another element. Now this works also with the recursion, with the ricochets that the recursion does. Now when you shoot an enemy, it'll pretty much only ricochet to 1 or 2 enemies. I'm not too sure how many ricochets it does before it fades away. But when you combine extra elements, as you see, I have the as you can see, I have the radiation after action skill and bonus 2 magazines have 50% radiation damage. I've got on my transformer the 50% corrosive damage, and I've got on my grenade, you don't really need it to be an X. I've got shock damage. Shock damage is really good on this build as well. You'll see why. That makes for about 3 times the number of projectiles, which it just becomes insane. The more enemies you have, the more damage you'll do with this build. So it's pretty insane. I'll show it in a moment. So yeah, this is your mobbing weapon. You can also use the Cutsman or the Brainstormer for mobbing, but the Cutsman is more for bossing and taking on badasses because of its slow projectile and high damage. Now, the Brainstormer will have more chains available to it with multiple elements, but right now I've got a Phase Lamp 300% level 53 one that I've gotten off Wotan. I freaked out when I saw this. It's amazing. I love it, but I'm gonna show the basics of this build. So for shield, I like to run the transformer. You can run anything as long as it has an anointment for bonus elemental damage that is not the same as your grenade or your weapon. For a grenade slot, you want any grenade, just be sure to have the anointment with a different element than your guns and weapons. It's basically the same for those two. The Transformer is just really good because of its survivability potential. You might want a stopgap if you like that, but I like to run the Transformer with the shock action skill element. I remember, yeah, convert AMARA's action skill. Yeah, so basically it's the element of your action skill. You just proc yourself on the little shock thing, and then you'll gain damage and all of that kind of stuff. And then you want the core to this build, the spiritual driver. My spiritual driver is pretty much a perfect roll. If it adds splash damage instead of T or weapon damage, it'll be a perfect roll because it's +3 on mindfulness. And what this driver does, what the driver does in general, is when you'll use your action skill, you'll apply your action skill element to yourself. And that procs mindfulness, because mindfulness states as whenever AMARA takes damage, which she'll dot herself, so she takes a lot of damage quickly, she'll gain movement and she'll regen delay, which you don't really care about the delay, you just care about the speed, because driver gets increases AMARA's gun damage while moving. The faster she moves, the greater the gun damage. So if you run like Sonic, your damage is gonna be insane. And if you want a little trick, you can like use whatever weapon. You can proc yourself, gain stacks of mindfulness, and then shoot. But when you charge up, you go slower, and then start, going faster afterwards. Like, it's mainly with the Cutsman. You just start shooting and then run, because that will increase your projectile's damage when you get in the air. You can see I'm proccing myself with shock, but I have corrosive as well, and sometimes I might proc myself on fire. If I can. Well, it seems I can't, but this is because of skill over here, Conflux. Whenever AMARA applies a status effect, which she does to herself, she gains a chance to randomly electrocute, ignite, or melt an enemy. Now, this will proc either a fire dot, a second shock dot, or a corrosive dot, which will help with our relic, the elemental projector. Now, this will boost your damage with that element, which becomes quite insane with my setup. Now, I'm using the recursion with the shock element. I'm using the shock action skill element. And we have 5 out of 5 on Tempest, which gives us about 50% more shock damage. So, in summary, these two weapons, the Brainstormer and the Recursion, are going to do insane damage when you have shock on the Recursion, or you're just using the Brainstormer. It's going to do insane damage, and going to kill pretty much anything on MAM4 really quickly. Now, for bossing, like, let's take Grave Ward for example, you won't use the Shock Cutsman because, well, to be honest, it's not gonna do as much damage as if you'd use a Fire Cutsman. So you can change your element to your action skill element to Incendiary or Corrosive if you want, but I'd rather have Shock to gain shields back. Which, you do whatever you want with this build. I mean, that's what I personally like. So let's go over the skill tree real quick. Let's go for the blue tree first. We have 3 out of 3 on fast hands, which gives us basically weapon swap speed, reload speed, and mode switch speed, which is good because those other two skills. We don't need them. We're never really using our action skill to actually use the action skill correctly. That sounds weird, but whatever. So yeah, we put 3 points here for the extra reload speed, basically. A little bit of swap speed. Now going over the red tree, we have 5 out of 5 on Anima, which bonus status effect damage and status effect duration, which works with the status effect that you put on yourself. And your action skill status will do bonus damage, but that we don't worry about that. And 3 out of 3 steady ends for more accuracy and moving down the skill tree. Now we want 5 out of 5 on Tempest for the damage. It's insane. It's pretty much a go-to on every AMARA build to get this. Now we go for 2 out of 5 Wildfire. Now this has the chance to spread to nearby enemies, your stat effects, which is good, but it's the points in here are mostly to move down the skill tree. Then we have Dread. If you accidentally face lock an enemy, face grasp an enemy, your gun damage is going to be increased, and if you kill the grasped enemy, your weapon is going to be reloaded, which is always nice. Then 1 out of 1 on Deep Well for bonus magazine size on pretty much all your guns. You pretty much don't have any non-elemental weapons on this build. Then something that Gearbox didn't know about the recursion is that they thought indiscriminate was the reason why it was doing most of the damage. It's not the reason why. It's part of the reason, because when you use your action skill, actually, you have a chance to ricochet to other enemies, and when you face grasp an enemy, the chance gets increased, and the damage gets increased as well. So that's basically it. It's just basically DPS. Now 2 out of 5 sustainment. We still want healing in the build, so just a little bit of life steal with elemental weapons, which you always have. It's gonna keep you alive, and it's great in general. Now we have 4 out of 5 on Conflux for chance of, proccing yourself. And then we have 1 out of 1 on Forceful Expression for bonus damage. Then the green tree, want 2 out of 5 on Route to Rise. Extra health, always good. 3 out of 3 on personal space. You just go up to the enemy, shoot your recursion, and the initial discs are actually going to do more damage. Now I'm not too sure about the added disc with elemental damage. I don't know if those ones will still get that 36% gun damage, but I'm pretty sure they do, because you're doing so much damage with this build. Now that's from our class mod. 5 out of 5 on Arms Deal for bonus damage on your recursion and a little bit of damage reduction. And we have 5 out of 5 on Helping Hands +1 with our skill class mod. This is gonna give us damage reduction after using our accident skill, which is just nice. It's more survivability. We always love survivability. Then 3 out of 3 on Mindfulness. Now I already told you, and my class mod boosts this to 6 out of 3. This is just gonna give you speed, more damage. It's always nice. Now 2 out of 5 on One with Nature. This is gonna give you more health and some damage reduction, which again, survivability. This build has a lot of it. It's got a lot of damage. That's why we love this build. It's insane. You can do Mayhem 4 easily, no problem. Then Guardian Angel. Now actually, this build has a lot of survivability, but you can down yourself. Especially if you have the Guardian Rank Hollow Point enabled, because sometimes they can crit, your ricochets can crit, and if you're near an enemy, the enemy will explode, and that damage hurts yourself. So sometimes you go down. This is gonna, if you make a mistake, basically, Guardian Angel is there to help you, and you just can proc yourself back and ready to go. You're ready to go. So yeah, let's show off this build. It's pretty good. So we have a bunch of enemies over here. Hello, hello. I missed because I'm trash. I can't aim. Right there, you see, yep, there, they all died. Our health went back up instantly. We just killed those guys. And yeah, you get some FPS drops sometimes. And now we have enemy, yeah, okay. We have the heavyweight, let's just use this. And you see, he's dead. That's mainly because of overkill. And I just grasped this enemy, so let's just kill it real quick. Yep, that's overkill for you. Overkill is an insane skill. And, like, just look at this. Just look at that. It's insane. It's just insane. And because you're using the ricochets of your the recursion, you can actually gain overkill on multiple enemies. Let's just group them up real quick. Just shoot this guy if I can. My aim is so bad, I did not warm up. I see, just die, and they'll sometimes fly, which that's always fun. It's always funny to see enemies just fly around. Oh, and we have a shock heavyweight. Doesn't really matter. We can always use our Cutsman, and you see that the damage is pretty good. It's a lot of damage. Oh, he just died. Let's shoot this guy. Let's see, they died, or these guys died. Let's just shoot this corrosive dude. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. We love damage. And this guy died. Be sure you hit crits as well, because that's gonna give you better damage for your ricochets. So if we avoid that, now we have a ton of overkill. Well, now we don't because I just shot my shot. This guy just died. Alright. Just move on to this part. So as you can see, this clears areas really fast. The guy died. That guy died. That guy died. And yeah, with heavyweight overkill, you basically gain a crap ton of damage. Let's just kill this guy. Yep, right there. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.